The death of the journalist Lyra McKee has been described as senseless and appalling beyond belief. The 29-year-old was shot dead during rioting in Londonderry on Thursday night.
Police say the answer to the murder lies within the local community. Last night, at a vigil, Lyra's partner led the tribute.
The senseless murder of Lyra McKee has left a family without a beloved daughter, a sister, an aunt and a great-aunt. Has left so many friends without their confidant. Victims in the LGBTQ community are left without a tireless advocate and activist, and it's left me without the love of my life, the woman I was planning to grow old with. We are all poor for the loss of Lyra. Our hopes and dreams, and all of her amazing potential, was snuffed out by a single barbaric act. This cannot stand. Lyra's death must not be in vain, because her life was a shining light in everyone else's life, and her legacy will live on in the light that she's left behind. Thank you.
Joining us now from Derry is Freya McClements, who's a reporter for the Irish Times. With us in the studio is Mick Fealty. Good morning to you, editor of the Northern Ireland blog Slugger O'Toole. Good morning to you both. Freya, let's start with you. I mean, Lyra was in your circle, wasn't she? I mean, you may not have known her personally, but you're all working towards the same thing. What did you know about her?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't have the privilege of knowing Lyra personally, but I knew her obviously by reputation. And I think that the message that came out from the NUJ locally, who held a vigil here yesterday, is that an attack on one is an attack on all. And we've seen that across Ireland, the messages of solidarity that have been coming in for a journalist. And I mean, the things that people have been saying to me, you know, that could have been you. I mean, any journalist in Derry certainly has stood at riots like this at one time or another. I think it's worth adding the latest just from the PSNI. Within the last few minutes, they've announced that there's been 2 arrests in regard to this. The PSNI's major investigation team say they've arrested 2 men aged 18 and 19 under the Terrorism Act in connection with Lyra's murder, and that's literally just within the last 5 minutes that they've announced that.
Freya, thank you very much for that. So just to reiterate, 2 men have been arrested aged 18 and 19 in connection with the incident. It's very interesting, Freya. I mean, you say you've been at riots like this before, and we'll of course keep updated with that news that's coming through. What has the impact of this done to the community? The fact that 2 arrests have been made so soon after now, and yet there's always seems to be this shroud of secrecy around these kinds of attacks and this kind of violence.
Well, I think, I mean, again, the police took the step last night of releasing the CCTV images, and it's quite clear to see there's a gunman can be seen in that firing shots. And I think the anger, the shock certainly, but also the anger in the community, very, very palpable. I was at the vigil in the Cregan yesterday afternoon, and it's seldom that I've seen something so powerful, and moments within that, things like DUP leader Arlene Foster coming to the Cregan. She admitted that it was her first time in the area. This is a staunchly nationalist area, and she was applauded for it. And I think moments like that are indicative of the level of anger in the community. The parish priest, Father Joe Gormley, who anointed Lyra, saying on local BBC radio, BBC Foyle, yesterday morning, that those responsible were not welcome, that they could get out of Cregan, that if they were going to hold a commemoration march on Easter Monday, they could get out of Cregan. I mean, all that is very, very powerful, and the number of just ordinary people who turned up with children in buggies, with teenagers saying, this is not in our name, we do not want this.
Mick, welcome, by the way, this morning. Just tell you knew Lyra much younger when she was a teenager. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, over the years we've run a number of events in Belfast, and about 10 years ago we did a series on political innovation, about accountability in an area which is very difficult to get accountability, partly because the power sharing executive basically has no opposition, so you don't have politicians doing it. And Lyra was one of those people who stepped forward with great gusto and with great passion and great intensity to step into that space. And she was very lit by this idea of getting accountability and looking. What I find fascinating about Lyra was she had an absolute determination to look in the corners that no one else in journalism was looking for. Now, that created issues for her. It wasn't easy to get into a journalism within Northern Ireland that is often unwilling to ask tough and testing questions about the difficulties around all of this. She was intense. Now, I wouldn't say we were close friends. We stayed in contact over the last sort of 10 years. There are members of the Slugger team who know her better, and we've seen some of the material that's come out, work that she's done on teenage suicides of precisely that demographic that didn't face directly the terrible challenges of the Troubles.
For those people who didn't know her at all, and that's so many of us, of course, we are getting a picture, aren't we? Both from those who loved her, and, you know, first and foremost, that is the greatest loss of all. But certainly in terms of the work she did, the reach is extraordinary. Former President Clinton, for example, tweeting, you know, how important it is, the kind of work she was doing. The reach is amazing, isn't it?
Well, it is. It is amazing for Northern Ireland because when you look at it, every journalist has to come from a community somewhere. And very often, the more senior you get, particularly in print journalism, the more pressure is on you to take a view which is the view of the community from which you come. Lyra was never like that. She came from the Ardoyne, which is a staunchly Republican area, in a part of North Belfast, which accounts for something like 1/6 of all the people killed during the Troubles. Now, thankfully for her, she was only about 3 years of age when the ceasefires came in, 8 years of age when the Good Friday Agreement came in, and sadly and tragically, she lost her life one day, hours before the 21st anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. And I think that's what gets to the core of people like President Clinton, for whom the Good Friday Agreement is a critical legacy.
For anyone just watching while we're talking about the death of Lyra McKee, which happened on Thursday evening, we've just had some news through that after police released the CCTV pictures of the man with a handgun, major investigation team detectives have arrested 2 men aged 18 and 19 under the Terrorism Act in connection with the murder of Lyra McKee in the Cregan area. They have been taken to Musgrave Serious Crime Suite. So as we get more on that, we will bring it to you.
Yes, Freya, just pick up some of those thoughts. I mean, I'm not sure how much comfort anyone gets from those gatherings, the vigil we saw yesterday, and the sentiment that's coming out of this. You know, this should never have happened, and it should never happen again. Do you think any comfort can come from this?
Yeah, I think very much so. And I mean, I think, again, the most powerful words of all possibly yesterday were those from Lyra's partner, Sarah Canning, and she told that gathering, you know, Lyra's death should not be in vain. Now, you know, unfortunately, sadly, we have been here before. I mean, there was much talk yesterday of the fact that yesterday was the 21st anniversary of the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. And in that time, there have been so many people that I can think of, that I can recall, who've been killed by distant Republicans, and I've stood at similar vigils to that. So while there was very much there was a sense of hope, there was a sense of determination. There were also reservations. People were saying, you know, well, we have been here before. You know, what we need to see is actually real, meaningful change. I think the spirit was certainly there on the ground. Whether or not that transpires remains to be seen. And of course, this is also happening against a backdrop of the uncertainties caused by Brexit in Northern Ireland, and also the fact that there's still no assembly in Northern Ireland. There hasn't been for 2 years. So all of that.
Yeah, if I may, just just a last thought with you, Mick, as well. Freya, thank you. Just to remind people, we are reporting this morning 2 men have been arrested, 18 and 19, under the Terrorism Act in connection with the murder of Lyra McKee. That's just been announced in the last few minutes. Mick, I mean, apart from anything else, something happening swiftly is really important here, isn't it? Given the climate you've both described right now in Northern Ireland.
I think it's right that it happens swiftly. Always with arrests, we have to remember that the real weight of prosecutions is in evidence, and the only evidence will stand. Video evidence counts for nothing. What I think that video will have done, it was deliberately released by the police last night.
These are the CCTV images you're talking about of,
yes.
of the riots itself, and then the shooters who have been
Two things to say about that. One, Lyra is in a crowd. She wasn't picked out because she was a journalist, but whoever it was inexperienced with a handgun, shot straight into a crowd. If the intention was to kill police, they were in armoured vehicles, so there was absolutely no chance. We're talking about probably very young people involved in all of this.
We will wait to see, of course, what unfolds in connection with
of course, and that's only proper. But as I say, there is a lot of evidence that a lot of people witnessed that crime. The truth is that there are riots at this time of the year every Easter around the commemoration of the Easter Rising. This is not unusual, and the real tragedy is that Lyra would not have felt unsafe in that situation, because this kind of thing has never happened. It's an attempt to escalate whilst the vacuum at Stormont creates no political voice for our elected representatives.
We thank you for your time this morning, and thank you as well to Freya McClements from Dairy Forest this morning. Thank you both very much.